Hello everyone, welcome back once again to the weekly race guide. It's week 8 here in 2021 and I would argue quite an interesting week this week. Some unusual combos with the last one not being unusual. But even so, let's kick off with race A, which you can see in the background. We are racing here at Sardegna C. Let's have a look at the details then. We are racing 6 laps here. We are on sports medium tyres and everything else is just the standard usual stuff. Oh, it's grid start as well. That's kind of standard here for racing anyway. What is interesting is the cars, because I'm not sure we've ever had this combo before in terms of the cars. Maybe a New Balance Performance Group, the setup. We have the choice of a Citroen DS3, a Peugeot 208 GTI, a Renault Sport Clio RS 220 and a Volkswagen Golf GTI. So, you know, not hot hatches, but slightly warm hatches. And the one to go for, apparently, in time trial is a DS3. So let's jump to that race then. I'll talk you through some tips, tricks, and, of course, a quick lap guide to boot. Here we are then at the start of the grid. Now you see a Golf on pole, and I said a DS3. Well, I figured out during this race, or tried to work out why the Golf was there, and it looked like it's to do with how balanced the cars are. So the Golf seems to be a bit more balanced, and it is raceable. And we're in the DS3 because that was obviously dominating the leaderboards. Track control on 1 for the start, of course. You see it's FF, and you see it working away there. Turn it off just before I change gear. Now, as always with road cars, you don't want to be changing gear too often because there is a delay while changing gear. So third gear is your best friend in this race. Just remember that one. Head towards turn 1 then. I sort of guess there's going to be quite a lot of carnage in any lobby here, so I sort of backed out of this and want to stay back. See the Spaniard go down the inside of the Frenchman there. Really was a tight line to take. A little bit of carnage there. We tried to gain a few positions. We're on the outside at this point. You see, I did bog down a little bit in third gear, but I'd rather be in third gear here to avoid the wheel screech of tyres screaming for their lives, because that's what you get in these FF cars. Head towards this left-hander. Again, a corner known to have carnage because it's a fast sweeper into the barrier. Unfortunately, the Spaniard then chucks Floris there, the Dutchman, into the gravel. But gets penalty, so the penalty system working well in this situation, which is nice to see, I guess. It doesn't work very well later on, as you will find out. Coming into here, again, another it's very carnagey corner, this circuit. All 3 corners you brake for present carnage. So, yeah, you know, it's something you're going to have to watch out for. So I try to avoid contact there. Just a slight tap, nothing major. But we continue on here. And I was hoping the Frenchman would come across. And happy days, they do. And we're going to have a bit of slipstream heading towards turn 1 then. So side-by-side action. Reminds me a little bit of touring cars, this race, I must be honest. But heading towards turn 1 then, side-by-side. In towards the braking zone we go. We do have a track guide shortly for you as well. And we're going to get the job done there. So the Spaniard backed out of it early. So we get that position. Happy days. And again, staying in third gear just to avoid that gear shift, the gear change. While it might be a little bit slower on some occasions there where you take a tighter line, I just prefer the no-hassle approach. And up to here then. Once again, it's a corner I am very scared of. So I take a wide line in. A lot of people don't take the wide line in. This time, everybody survives, which is good to see. I did have a run on the French driver, but not a place to go for an overtake in reality, so I didn't force the issue, let's put it that way, as we head up the hill, which is where you get most. You can see it you can see it up ahead there, lots of contact happening there. So I'm trying to avoid all this contact because, as I say, it's just happening everywhere. A little bit of contact there between the Brit and the Spaniard. I try and make, well, I don't make room, there was a bit of room there. Spaniard turned in on me, and yeah, I get a 2-second penalty, so thank you, game, for that lovely penalty where I did nothing wrong except drive round, and yeah, apparently I deserved the penalty. Anyway, we advance a bit further on when the penalty has been taken, so we can race once again in this big battle going on up ahead. And we just got around the outside of the Spaniard there. They backed out of it, and I was sort of like, ooh, I'm not backing out of this. So third gear, really slow through here. And you can hear the screech of the tyres. The tyres just absolutely being killed there with the wheel spin, my word. I do hate the tires screeching in this game sometimes. But we're going to head on to a bit of a track guide now. I realise we're over halfway through the race and we haven't had that yet. To head towards turn 1, you're going to look for the right hand side. You're actually going to look for the 100-meter board. Now, I will brake just after it when I'm not in slipstream, and just before it with slipstream. But the 100-meter board is your best friend here, and that's what you're going to use for a braking marker. So you're going to brake down to third gear. Just click the apex like so, and then try and straighten up as best as you can so you get reduced wheel spin. As you can see, our third gear this time worked wonders, as we're right behind the French driver here. Now heading towards this left-hander. Oh, French driver went flying there. As you head towards this left-hander, the 15-meter board is your friend here. Again, just before it if you're in slipstream to make sure you don't punt anybody. If you're not in slipstream, just after it. But you want to brake quite significantly here and then trail brake a little bit. Now, 80 miles an hour is your minimum target. I did 81 there, and you see a couple of drivers went off there. So we're going to gain 2 positions here. Happy days. Oh, purple as well. Really nice. Now, you're going to have to be careful. You notice I'm lifting a little bit here. This is because you can't flat that whole section without a bit of caution and weight transfer. Again, really let off here. You want the car to be balanced. Now, I've highlighted a large section on the right side here. Basically, any change of the colour or the orange little marker there. But basically, you want the car straight and then brake, but you want to use those markers as a bit of a reference. As you see, Prods has gone off there. So we're just going to go on the inside here, and hopefully that should be another position gained. Happy days. Up into P, Steve, and off we go. So only 3 brake markers here, but each corner is very risky. You get it wrong, you go off into gravel, you're off into barriers, just pure carnage on any given corner. So you just have to be careful here, really. And as I say, that's why I gave you sort of 2 references there. Now, just behind, Prozer's got dirt on his tyres. Maybe didn't realise, went for the move there. Was it on? Actually, I don't know. It was not even on the radar when I started braking and turning in for the corner, and then suddenly appeared. And there's that 2-second penalty we saw they had previously. We're going to advance then to the final lap here, and we're going to try and race for this P4 position. So through there we go. You can see the GTI, the Golf, can race well here. We're right behind the German here. Look how close we are. So again, lift in here a little bit, just trying to get the car turned in. You don't want to be braking, because that will obviously transition the weight far more extreme, and you don't want the weight transitions happening in this car. A good old lift here in towards the braking zone, and try and straight line it if we can. Notice how we had a slight bit of weight on the left rear, and the car wanted to then dart right. That's quite a common thing. So we're going to get a little tap here from the French driver behind. Gives a little bump. So I'm not sure the Italian realised I was there, and I was scared of the pit wall. Just tap left a little bit. So like, hey, I'm here. Let me in. And we get P5. So, you know, nice little finish there in race A. An interesting race. There's going to be a lot of carnage in this one I would potentially avoid. Let's head to Croatia then for race B. Now, normally when we head to Croatia, it's normally Dragontrail Seaside, but no, it is Gardens this week for what is actually quite a good race, although I do recommend qualifying for this one. Let's have a look at the race details first of all. We're racing 5 laps here at Dragontrail Gardens. It's a rolling start, and we are on racing medium tyres. Now, as you can see in the background, we are in Group 3, and Group 3 races are always fun, and you get to pick the car of your choosing. Now, I went with the car that was in rank 1 at the time. However, there's lots of cars in that top 10. The Ferrari, bellissimo! Let's have a look at the race then. Let's see how I got on, whether you should go for it, which I think you should, and also a lap guide to boot. Here we are then at the start of the grid. Mixture of cars, but look! It's P. Steve! It's Momoz! It's a sign! P. Steve and Momoz, it's combined here. But anyway, let's kick off then in the Ferrari. I'm going to keep doing that this entire race. I apologise in advance. A mixture of cars, as I say. You can see an AMG in front. There's a Jaguar behind. There's a Porsche in front of the AMG. So a mixture of cars, I say Group 3. Pick what you like. As you can see, P15 starts on the corner, so do be a bit careful. I want traction control on just to make sure I survived that last corner before we actually get on with the race. As always with race B, we go straight into a lap, guys. We're heading towards turn 1. Don't focus on the right, focus on the left. We have nice lovely trees, the last one before the turn, and that's a good little mark. You can see I've already just about started to turn here, but I'm going to be dabbing the brake just before this tree, and then I'm going to trail brake a little bit, dabbing the brake there actually, but basically you just want to clip the curb, pulls you around a little bit. Heading towards this second one then, on the right side you've got that little orange dab on the barrier. Use that as your brake marker. You can also use the curb or the 100-meter board. You can see how big it is on the screen. You can use either of those. Very nice marks indeed here. Now you want to clip the left here, and then you really want to straighten up for this right. So I've just stopped it here. The curb has to be in the center of the car, especially for MR cars. If it is not, do not take this line. FR cars can handle it better, but if you hit that in any sort of way, not in underneath the car, in the center of the car, you're going to go flying to Narnia. So yeah, I'd avoid doing that if I was you. We're going to head down towards this left-hander then. And in the braking zone we go, and we're looking for the start of the curb or the 100-meter board if you've got a car that can brake really late. However, the curb is what I use for the majority of times here. I just let off the brakes a little bit. Not sure why I did, because I actually missed the apex. Whereas I wouldn't hold if I didn't do that. But anyway, we carry on. The Greeks had a bit of an issue there in the Subaru. Yes, another car to shout out in this one. So as we head towards this right-hander, the start of the dead grass, I'm going to say, on the left, that's what I use as a marker here. So dab the brakes, sort of start chucking it in. You really want to get to the right side of the circuit here. Do it a little bit better than I did there. And then on the right side, you've got that tree, which is your marker for the left. You dab your brakes, you turn it in, and Bob's your uncle. You should nail the apex beautifully. And let's see us do that now. So you notice I dabbed the brakes. I did it a little bit wrong. I had to slow down a little bit more. However, we could carry on. Now, heading towards here, you're not going to have a good picture of this, but there's some black markings there. As that black marking widens, that's what I use as a brake marker for this corner. You can see it from the inside as well. You can see it from this angle. And that is what I'm using as a brake marker. So I'll back out the move on Kermit here. I didn't want to get all jumpy and hoppy. Yes, that was a very bad Kermit the Frog joke. But through there we go. You want to clip each apex there, and once you know you can get round, put your foot to the floor. As we head up towards the left-hander then, I was going to go down there, but Kermit decided to close the door, which is all fair. I'm not saying it's not. But as you head here, as the barrier ends here, and as it widens, I suppose, that is your brake marker here. So we're going to remain in P15, but it's now time for some racing. So let's see what we can do. Looking down the inside of the Subaru. Unfortunately for us, the Subaru going to have the slipstream of that Mercedes. So we're going to have to fall in behind for now. Let's see what we can do though. Heading towards turn once again. Look for that tree on the left hand side. It's a beautiful tree. Just before the tree, we're braking. We're clipping the curb. It pulls us round. You can see the car get pulled round. Happy days. And let's see what we can do into this left-hander then. Now, fortunately for me, I just tapped the Subaru, and then the Subaru really goes on hard here, which I was not expecting. So it forced me to miss the curb. You can see how it impacted the car there. Forced me very wide to make sure I didn't oversteer and go to Narnia there. We advanced a bit further on. You saw the Subaru just out wide there. I had nothing really changed, really, just in the same position, just caught up to the Subaru. In towards the braking we go, though. As I realised the Subaru was braking quite early, I did go for the move here, and I did get the job done. The Greek spotted it as well, so, fair play. Shout out to you for spotting that, because it is a dive at the end of the day, but it's a safe dive. I did make my intentions known very early. As you can see here, we've got lots of action. The AMG just on the inside of the Pug. We're now on the inside of the Renault of the French driver. And we're going to have some good racing here, actually. Some side-by-side action, which you can expect. Now, the thing here is, trying to do this move can be hard. And you're going to see I'm going to be a bit slower on the apex, which forces the French driver to basically hold on accelerating through the corner there. You can go side-by-side quite a lot there, but you do need to have trust in the other driver. And now, I have never raced this French driver before, I don't believe. However, shout out to you, because you raced very clean. In both the races I've seen so far, actually. I raced you in the race A as well. So, rather than Quinton, we have, I think it was called Molo Toto. So with that, I apologise, I butcher names for days. Anyway, we're caught up to this next group. You can see a lot of fighting going on. Momoz is in that fighting, believe it or not. But we'll get to Momoz shortly, how about that? So, Kermit, not very happy with the Porsche driver here, potentially, I'm not too sure. But we're going to try and go down the middle. And is this going to work out? Not quite here, not the best corner to try and go around the outside on. So we're going to just pull it back a little bit here. Kermit has fallen behind in P13. And then we've got the Porsche driver. Let's see what we can do here. Into the left we go. And then once again, trying to line the centre of the car. Nearly got it right. And you can see how if you just let off a little bit and just enter it there on the left, the bigger sausage. Unfortunate for the first one, I guess. Anyway, we continue on. If you get it lined up, you won't go anywhere. It'll just go lovely round there. So anyway, heading towards this left-hander. Porsche tried to go for a move on the RTZ. You see a Hyundai driver who is dead. Guess who did the work of that one? I will show that out at the very end of the video, I guess. Well, I'm assuming it was Momoz anyway, because they did comment on it after. You see Momoz having more contact with a Jaguar driver. It's Momoz! Oh, here we go! As we continue on, just give the Porsche driver a little nudge there. And he gets that position. So I sort of back out of this a little bit. And I need to call Lil Nicky, but Lil Nicky there, just a little bit twitchy. So I tapped him again, unfortunately. I did let the Italian carry on. I did apologise afterwards as well for that. As we head up towards the left-hander then. It's all kicking off in this race. In towards the hairpin we go then. And it's still line astern. Let's get them in chat, folks. As the Williams half... What a name! The new Williams driver in. We're going to have to slipstream. But it does give me room, so fair play to the Williams driver. Anyway, in towards the left we go. And once again, clipping that curb, that's what we want to do. Notice how it pulls us round. On the final lap now, can we get any moves done here? In towards the braking zone we go. And a lovely line there, so then we nail it beautifully for this. And then unfortunately for us, we just get held up a little bit. You see how if you get it wrong, Il Nicky got it wrong there. You're now called Il Nicky for some reason, I don't know why. But look, he's got a penalty! It's Momoz! Momoz got a penalty! Oh, it's happening, folks! It's happening! Oh, my word. Anyway, let's go for the move on Il Nicky then in the RC Jet. We're going to try around the outside. So Il Nicky just lost the rear a little bit. Maybe he's running a plus brake bias there. But gave me room again, so shout out to you. And here we're going to go side by side potentially here. So look at that, through the left and into the right. Il Nicky backs out of it here, so I'm now trying to sort of recover the racing line here. I'm going to have to slow down a little bit during the apex. It looks like Kermit's gone for a move on the Italian further back. We're just going to fast forward a little bit further here then, because we've got a long way to catch up to Svetlio. However, Svetlio, very kindly, I have no idea why, but shout out to you, gives me the position. So thanks for that. We end up P8. Wreckfest completed. That's where you need to come in Wreckfest to win. But that's going to be it for this race. I actually quite enjoyed this race, to be honest. It's very hard to overtake, but you can have some good racing. Let's head to race C then, where we head to Austria. Yes, we are at Red Bull Ring for the final race, which does mean some good racing. It also means some carnage as well, with turn 2, of course, and turn 1 with the penalties. However, let's have a look at the race details first of all. We're racing 13 laps here at the Red Bull Ring. It's a rolling start. We are on racing medium and hard tyres. Both are required, which is good. It means some strategies involved. Fuel usage ×2 and tyre wear is ×10. Now, as we're in Group 2, so we're doing some Super GT at Red Bull Ring, the car to go for, it appears once again, is the GTR in Group 2. And it's quite an interesting race, to be honest, and one where strategy will come into play. It's all about avoiding traffic. Let's head towards that race then. I'll talk you through some tips, tricks, the lap guide. I will get my words out, and also what an interesting race it can be or potentially can't be. Let's have a look at that now. Here we are then at the start of the grid. As you can see, GTR. Oh, we've got Lexus, GTR. But look, in P19, we have a world champion. It's Igor! Igor is in this race, and assuming doing what I'm doing, which is just jumping in and having some fun like I always do. Now, I saw my brake balance on 1 there. I actually would recommend 2 on this one, and all brake balances are in the description, as I always say every single week. So let's see what we can do. Racing Igor, the world champion, as well as a few other folks that you may not have seen before as we head through the last section of corners. Now, we're starting to racing hard tyres here. I'd already have a little bit of a practice on the mediums and the hards and realised the hards were about a second slower. I didn't accurately check this, but it was just something that I checked anyway. And heading towards turn 1, of course. Let's start the track guide, because I'm just jumping in there. 100-metre boards are your best friends at Red Bull Ring. They always are, so that is what we're going to be using here, folks. And you saw me warming up the tyres beforehand. Remember, there are temperatures when there is tyre wear. We'll get my words out. So weaving on that start-finish straight is actually very beneficial to get your tyres a little bit warmed up. Igor, unfortunately, just cut the first corner there. Be careful about doing that. Heading towards turn 2. Hey, guess what? 100-metre board again. Happy days. Now, of course, depending on medium and hards, worn tyres, not worn, fuel weight, is it, if you've got full load or half load, will depend on where you brake. So I'm just pointing out these markers so you can get a good idea for it. Igor coming on very sensibly there, of course. No, what else would you expect from the world champion? Coming on very sensibly, just comes back on circuit, nice and easy. In towards the right hand, there we go, and guess what? The 100-metre board again. No, this time just brake just before it. I'd recommend not actually on it, because if you brake on it, you're going to go a little bit too deep, in my opinion. Very easy to carry speed here as we are heading downhill. So, we're in second gear here. Be careful of the wheel spinning in this car, especially on the hard tyres. It can be a little bit sketchy. Now, we carry a lot more speed than normal through that corner. So heading towards here, you're actually braking before the 50-metre board on both sets of tyres. I found braking on it, I would end up running a little bit deep. So just keep that in mind when you are running this. And you want to sort of clip the inside, unlike what I do there, where I miss it. But through there we go, and heading towards this next left-hander, where the short circuit meets the full circuit. That's where your next brake marker is going to be. Nice and easy here. Once again, if you can get your tyre on the inside of that curb, it'll drag you around a tiny little bit, which is very beneficial here. You notice how we just don't do it there. It means we have to delay our throttle a little bit, and be careful of that curb glitch on the exit. I don't know whether it still exists or not, but just be careful. Might as well be. Head towards this right-hander then. The marshals are your best mates here. Use the marshals. 50's too late, 100's too early, so your marshals are your best friend. And you can see I've just changed brake balance to 2. I sort of realised halfway through the lap, well, let's be on 2. And be careful about running wide here, very easy to do. And then the final marker is the end of the Austrian flag on the left-hand side. Red, white, red is right there, the end of it. Just before that, brake, third gear. Make sure you then chuck it in, clip the inside. It should get you around. Happy days. Avoid going too wide and into the race. We're about to go. Igor going for the 2-stop, which is brilliant for this video, by the way, because now you can see if the 1-stop or 2-stop actually worked. So Igor into the pits for the 2-stop. So through we go. I think Igor was like around 1.5 seconds when he came in, but it says 6.5 temps. So we'll see what happens there. We continue past Ollie here, going for a move down the inside. So Igor comes out 8 seconds off there. So it's about 8 seconds for the pit loss there. In towards the braking we go. Huge Constantina effect. We slightly tap Bilbo, the Austrian, at his home circuit. However, it's all good. It's all golden. Nothing happened there. And we carry on. Lecretia, unfortunately, has a penalty. As does Zocca there. So we're going to go by them both. Down the inside, in towards the right-hander we go. So 2 positions from penalties. You see penalties having a bit of a play in this race so far. We continue on through. So P16 at the moment, a lot of work to do. However, we do have the mediums to go on yet, and I do feel like a lot of the guys up ahead are on the medium tyres. But let's head around this first part, in towards the second part. You know where we're braking, right where the short circuit meets the full circuit. And you're about to witness warp drive from Zocca. Wow, look at that. Boom, into the barrier. No idea what happened to Zocca there. But Zocca does carry on, doesn't get disconnected. Gets put back into line, I believe. Anyway, we just messed that corner up a tad. And then in towards the final right-hander we go. And yes, there we go. Now, the French driver, unfortunately, about to get a 0.5 second penalty for running wide on the last corner. You can see track limits, very critical here. Now, I was thinking about the move. I decided to back out of it. As we go into turn 1. Now, the Honda driver, unfortunately, is going to have dirty tyres. Unfortunately, gets a whole lot of oversteer. I hit him. And unfortunately, he's going to get a 1 second penalty for that. Now, is that my fault? Not really. It's just a racing incident. It's not really penalty worthy, but the game assumes that, sure, I did the brake check on me, and didn't really, but yeah, we're going to get in a position irrespective, and unfortunately for Shura, a 1 second penalty to boot. So yeah, we're going to go by that. Up into P15. Now, as I say, the hard tyres I'm going to roughly estimate at about 1 second slower per lap. As you can see up ahead, lots of traffic. This is where I think traffic is critical, really. With all this happening up ahead, lots of penalties, lots of side-by-side action, you're going to lose so much time, irrespective of the tyre you're on. Hard or medium, you're going to lose time, a lot of time. It's a very fast circuit, this. So the minute you start having to take tighter lines, braking much earlier, as you can see here, we're slowing completely up here. We're losing time over time here. What's that going to be? Nearly a second out of that? Half a second? Something like that? Losing a lot here. We're going to go in between. Oh, that was tight. Tidge making funny noises. Head towards the right-hander then. We gain a few more positions. And unfortunately, Ollie behind. Ollie gets hit into me, I believe. That's what was mentioned after the race. Ollie gives that up as well. So, you know, shout out for that one. And we continue racing there. So, staying in P12. Now, at this point, I was deciding whether to come in. Originally, I was coming in on lap 4 to try like a funky 1-stop. And then I was like, do I come in? Because I've got a lot of clean air here, technically. I mean, am I going to be racing Acebo? Is Acebo on the medium tyres? Which I assumed they were. But then I sort of decided to come in. Oh, who's that? Was that Zocca again going off? Anyway, I assumed they were on the mediums. But then I decided to come in, and I was like, I was debating whether I should have done this. Let's have a look at the time then to the leader. So it's currently at 16.2-ish. So that's what we're going to go with, because it's a much faster line on that last corner. 16.2. You can see now it's up at the 8 second margin, which is what I said. So 8 seconds for a pit stop, we're going to say here. 8 seconds. So keep that in mind in terms of your lost time. Now, hard tyres, if they're 1 second a lap slower, well, we've only done 4 laps on them. It's only going to be 4 seconds. Obviously, worn mediums are going to be slower than fresh mediums, so you've got to take that into account as well. However, I just don't think it's worthwhile doing a 2-stop. You'll see why later on. We're behind Zocca here. Zocca goes a slightly bit too deep there. This is what I mean about carrying a little bit too much speed into there. You've got to really bleed off the speed to make the corner. And we're going to be side by side then with Zocca. On 1 bar at the moment. It's not a wrapper, but in towards the left we go. And around the outside on the fresh mediums. We're going to get the job done. Nice clean racing with Zocca there. And we continue on. Zocca does stream these races very early on in the day as well. If you do want to check out GT Zocca's channel, you know what to Google on YouTube is GT Zocca. Very nice and easy. So we'll catch up to the creature here. And we're sort of on the inside here. Frenchman gives it up fairly early, which I suppose if you've got somebody on the fresh tyres, quite an easy decision to make, I suppose. You don't lose a lot of time then. And we'll continue on. You see Igor's just up ahead of us here, and Igor's on the 2-stop, remember. We are on the 1-stop, so not much gain because Igor's been stuck in that traffic, and unfortunately it's pit stop time for them both up ahead. They both come in. We're going to gain 2 more positions as we continue on then to lap number 10. So we've got up to the French driver, who's just gained a track penalty for the last corner, of course. In towards the braking zone we go. I recommend third gear for this corner, by the way. It just avoids unnecessary wheel spin, while second may be slightly quicker. Third gear is far more stable and worthwhile doing. You can see we're only 5.5 seconds off the lead here, by the way. With all that fighting we got stuck in early on, it's not too shabby, this strategy. Anyway, in towards the braking zone we go. And we get it stopped. I would have thought that with a penalty they may have given up that position, but they decide not to. One thing I would also recommend is pitting a lap 5 rather than lap 4. I do feel I pitted 1 lap too early. As you can see, I've not really gained that much on the worn mediums now compared to the hard runners up ahead. You notice GT Racer goes off there. I'm not sure whether there was any punts there or not, but seemed all a little bit awkward with the Dutchman of RXC. But we continue on into P5, so unfortunately not finishing in that P-Steve position so far. Can we gain any further? You see P2 up ahead. So, you know, I'm actually really happy with this race and how it went. I don't practice that much beforehand. I have like 5 minutes in between each race to practice it. And I decided the strategy in that 5 minutes. So, weirdly, in the last 2 races in Gran Turismo that have strategy, I've played the strategy correctly. Or nearly correctly. So, I've not done too shabby here. But we're going to finish in P5 all the same. An interesting race. You're going to have to really watch out for those track limit penalties. Some collision penalties in there as well, like you saw. But hey, we beat a world champion as well. Shout out to Igor, of course. He's an absolute legend, a really friendly guy as well. And yeah, that is going to be it for this week. I'm going to put a stream on there. I'm sure there's somebody streaming tonight, so do check out them. Ollie, Super GT, Key, there'll be somebody there. But there's going to be a video on the left-hand side if you want to watch a video of mine. But that is going to be it for me now, folks. Thank you so much again for the 20k subscribers. If you did like this video, give it a like, subscribe if you want to watch this every week. But that's going to be it for me now, folks. Au revoir, farewell, auf Wiedersehen.